Wins above replacement, or as it's better known, WAR. What is it good for? I actually have the best YouTube community on YouTube. And the reason is because you guys give so many good comments. I mean, here, take a look at all the comments that you've given. And it's because of these comments that I actually listen to what you guys have to say. And this video is the reason why I made this one. Because it seems to me that there's a lot of people that misunderstand what WAR really means. So what are wins above replacement?
It's a sports show every Friday, hot take, where's the market, behind the scenes from the car shows to the streets. There's only one show, there's only one show I wanna watch, EDI Sports Show every Friday.
Welcome back to EDI Sports Show. If you're new to this channel, I'm your host, Doc Schwartz, and every week I put out a new video of this show every Friday. We have 4 segments in the show. We have a hot take, where's the market, behind the scenes, and then the viewer comments at the very end. And this show is all about viewer comments. I need to make that very clear. That's what this episode is all about. Or the hot take that I'm going to do, which is wins above replacement. What is wins above replacement? Like, if you're a watcher and a fan and a subscriber, and please hit the like button if you're watching this right now, because the YouTube algorithm is nuts. So if you don't hit the like button, it doesn't send it to anyone. So please hit the like button right now. But if you're watching this show, I want to say thank you for pushing back. And if I ever do another thing like that, where I put out something and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, write a comment. I am listening to my audience because you guys know a lot. And that's what makes this show awesome, is because it's not just about me, it's about all of us. And you guys contributed to making this video. So I'm gonna do this for you guys. I put a link down below in the comment section or in the description of the article that explains wins above replacement, because I think a lot of you just kind of assumed that you understood what that meant. And I am gonna be guilty of that. I assumed that I was like, okay, what exactly are we talking about? So here's the first problem. And here we go. And once I explain this problem, you're going to all go, oh, okay. So that's why I got this wrong. And I'm guilty of this as well, because I thought wins above replacement meant something different, which is why it didn't make any sense to me. But now that I understand what it means, it doesn't help Mike Trout's case, but still, this is what it means. So wins above replacement, WAR, means that this is how many wins that is calculated above a replacement player. Okay? So Mike Trout's 86.3 WAR means that he would win, if you had him on your team, you'd win 86 more games against a minor league replacement. Do you hear what I'm saying? That's not if you put Mike Trout on the team or if you put Alex Bregman on the team. No. He's not 86.3 better than Alex Bregman. He's 86.3 better than a minor leaguer. Okay? So, no, he's not the greatest player in the history of the game. He's just 86.3 better than a minor league replacement. And in modern baseball, that makes perfect sense because baseball players suck. Most of them. Like literally, they're horrible. We do not have high-level talent in Major League Baseball anymore. Like, there's an upper echelon of players, and then there's literally everyone else. The talent pool in the major leagues has been so watered down because there's so many teams and there's so many players that literally most players in the major leagues are just, they're average. They're okay. And that's the point, is that the reason that Mike Trout's WAR is so much bigger than anyone in the history of the game is because of the era he's playing in. He's playing in the worst time for baseball players. Most major leaguers suck. Now, again, he's not even being compared to major leaguers. He's being compared to minor leagues. So if the major leagues players suck and these guys in the minor league can't make it to the majors, they're even worse, which is why Mike Trout has an 86.3 WAR. Because if you don't have him, which we see, this is why the Los Angeles Angels could not win with Mike Trout, because he gets hurt. And once he gets hurt, there is no one that's in the minor leagues that can come even close to replacing him. Not even close. And that's what WAR is. So what I want everybody to understand is what I was saying. So this is not against Mike Trout fans, and I want to make this very, very clear. I am not trashing Mike Trout fans. I think that Mike Trout fans are great. In fact, here I'm going to show you, this is what I got. So give me 1 sec. Okay, so here we go. This is my only Mike Trout card, okay? This is a Project 70 card. All right, that's my Mike Trout card. Now, the reason that I got this card is because it's freaking cool. I mean, look at that. It's Jaws. That's Trout. Like, that's a cool card. This is Project 70 for all of you that know about it. That's Topps Project 70. They've done, I think, 3 versions or iterations of this artist plus baseball coming together. I think it's great. Again, I love this card. So I'm not against Mike Trout. I'm not against the fans. I mean, why would I be against the fans of Mike Trout? I mean, you guys didn't do anything. But WAR is not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. It's wins above replacement of a minor leaguer. And in the era of Moneyball, in which you are literally doing analytics of every little bit, so if you're going to pay for Mike Trout, now again, I still am going to tell you right now, I would not pay for Mike Trout. I wouldn't trade for him. If I was a general manager, I would stay as far away from Mike Trout as humanly possible. I would love other teams to have Mike Trout because he will never make it through the whole season. He's not going to be a threat to me. If I see a roster and I'm like, oh, they got Mike Trout, that's great. Don't worry about it. I would be building a roster of other players. I value different stats. I value different components than most people in baseball do. I follow analytics, but I don't follow it religiously. I understand there's a human element to playing sports. So if I were evaluating talent, now I'm going to say this, now I've never evaluated baseball talent, but I do evaluate talent in teaching and in education. So when I go and watch and I do observations for classrooms and I look at teachers and I have to decide, okay, how good is this teacher? So when I do that, I have to evaluate talent. So I am very good. I'm an expert in evaluating teacher talent. So if I'm looking at a baseball player, I'm going to evaluate the talent and say, okay, they're good at this, they're not good at that. How does that fit within the ball club? Because remember, there's 9 players on a team. So you want to build a ball club. You want to build a team. And when you do that, that means that you need players who can hit home runs. You need players who have good batting averages. You need players that have speed. You need players that have defensive talent. And you have to start putting the pieces together. Not every player is going to bat 300 on your team. It's impossible. So that means that you need to have, okay, I need a leadoff hitter that gets on base. If you don't get a leadoff hitter that gets on base, like your whole lineup is screwed up. So what am I going to look for in terms of a leadoff hitter? That's why Ricky Henderson was such an amazing leadoff hitter, because he had power, speed, and he got on base. I mean, it's unheard of. The amount of first inning home runs, like he led off the game with a home run, is remarkable. You know, you're basically one batter in, you're already down 1-0. Like, That's unbelievable. And that's why Rickey Henderson was not just a great baseball player, not just a Hall of Famer, but he was a game changer. That's why he was so coveted by so many teams. Because you put him in the leadoff spot, either he got on base and he stole second base, well, now you got a runner in scoring position, you're in the first inning, or he hit a home run to lead off the game. We don't have players like that in Major League Baseball today. There are no players in Major League Baseball today as good as Rickey Henderson. So again, Mike Trout's WAR, 86.3, is in comparison to a minor league replacement. Again, minor league replacement, which means that Mike Trout is that much better than minor leaguers, which is no shock to anyone. I mean, anyone that's saying that his WAR makes no sense comparable to minor leaguers doesn't know baseball and doesn't know stats. I'm going to tell you right now, in comparison to a minor leaguer, and that's the difference. I thought it was in comparison to other major leaguers. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. And if anybody was out there trying to say, like, you're wrong about that, you were right. I was wrong. But you didn't know that either. You didn't know that Mike Trout's WAR, 86.3, was actually in comparison to minor leaguers. You thought the same thing as me, and you were trying to argue that I was wrong, that he's not that much better than other major leaguers. Sorry, he's not. And that's not what WAR proves. WAR does not have anything to do with the major leagues. WAR is only talking about whether or not you could replace him with a minor leaguer. Again, this is Moneyball analytics. This is Saber, what's that? Saber data? This is what we're talking about. WAR was created because of Moneyball. That's the end of the story. So that's what wins above replacement means. Hopefully that ends the conversation and the controversy. But I want to say this, I appreciate everybody pushing back. Like, if you're a watcher and a fan and a subscriber, and please hit the like button if you're watching this right now, because the YouTube algorithm is nuts. So if you don't hit the like button, it doesn't send it to anyone. So please hit the like button right now. But if you're watching this show, I want to say thank you for pushing back. And if I ever do another thing like that, where I put out something and you're like, that doesn't make any sense, write a comment. I am listening to my audience because you guys know a lot. And that's what makes this show awesome, is because it's not just about me, it's about all of us. And you guys contributed to making this video. So thank you for doing that, because that's what this is all about. That's what YouTube is all about. It's about a community. So I put out the episodes and you guys have to then say, like, wait a minute, no, I don't agree with that. I don't think you're right about that. Well, wait a minute, hold on a second. So I hear you. I didn't take any comments as an insult. I was upset. I'm like, why is everybody getting so mad about this? But I listened to the overwhelming number of comments of like, that's not what WAR is. You don't understand WAR. What are you talking about? So I heard you, but here's the point. Wins above replacement, WAR, means that this is how many wins that is calculated above a replacement player. Now it's time for Where's the Market? In this week's Where's the Market, you know what I thought I would do is actually go over selling bulk cards. So I have a bunch of, plastics that have a bunch of cards in them. So, hey, got some Nolan Ryan. I've got, this is Skybox basketball, okay? And then I've also got some hockey cards. Now, one of the things that seems to be a problem with people in the hobby now, especially with you guys, because you're all card hoarders just like me, you have way too many cards. And if you're not a part of the Facebook group, I put the link in the description below. Go to Card Hoarder Nation and join and start getting rid of the bulk that you have. Now, here's the point. how do you sell bulk? Because, I mean, I'll do these baseball cards right here. So these are all Nolan Ryans. Okay, so 1, we've got 2, okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like, I mean, these are all Nolan Ryan cards. So what, like, how do you sell these? And this is the problem. If you want to maximize the amount of money you get, you have to sell them individually. But here's the problem. When you sell cards individually, this is going to take forever. And I would say that, especially if you don't price them the right way, like we did this last week in terms of, is it the right price, right? Maybe we should even do that. Like, is this the right price for this card? Maybe I'll do that next week in the Where's the Market. Like, is this the right price for this card? Like, if you don't price this properly, like, what is this worth? To be honest, if I were to sell this individually and I wanted it to sell immediately, this should be $7. $6.99, $7. That's the price of this card. Now, what's it worth? It's worth about $10. So you see, like, I'm pricing it at the actual sale amount, not what it's worth. It's worth about 10. So it should be listed for like $6.99 or $7. The problem is that if I list it for $7, it's probably going to take like 2 weeks to sell. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9. That's 18 weeks. Folks, I don't know about you, but I'm going to die before I sell all these cards. Like, it's not going to happen. And that's what you guys need to understand, is you have to sell bulk. You have to get rid of cards. So now I just had 9. So there's 11 total Nolan Ryans here. So I'm just going to do it quickly. How much I think this is all worth. So let's see. 2, that's 4. That's 10, 14, 10, 24, 34, 50, 52, 54, 56, 57, and then, so like 62. So these are probably worth about 62. To be honest, what I could sell these for is $30. I could sell all 11 cards for $30. Somebody wants them, they can sell them, and they can make $30 off of it, selling it individually. And again, if somebody else is looking to buy this whole lot, then maybe, like, because again, there's only 11 cards. So 11 cards is going to be 22 weeks. So if you have 22 weeks to make $30, I mean, seriously, folks, like, understand, like, time is money. And if you buy this lot to sell, it makes no sense. Like, you literally, and that's what you guys need to understand. So even selling this lot as a bulk lot makes no sense for anyone to buy it. That's why you have to package a whole bunch of cards together. So in all honesty, this lot is not worth it to anybody. But if I sell this lot plus this lot plus this lot, and let's say all of this is worth $150, if I sell it for 75, all of this, now that makes more sense to someone. So it's worth $150. I'm selling it for 75. That means it's $75. And maybe if they know what they're doing, they can cut the time down from 22 weeks down to 10 weeks. And if you can make $75 in 10 weeks, it's not great, but it's not as bad as 22 weeks. Again, this is my point, and this is the problem with the hobby, is that there's not enough collectors that are connected to other collectors, because the people that want these cards are collectors, not dealers. Dealers don't want anything to do with these cards. You have so many of them. You have thousands and thousands of cards that dealers don't want anything to do with. Only collectors do. Like, collectors would want all of these Nolans. Collectors would want these hockey cards. Collectors would want these Skybox, not dealers. That's why I created the Facebook group, Card Hoarder Nation, because we need to connect collectors to other collectors, because the only people that want your hoard are collectors. Literally, that's the only one that appreciates your hoard. So the first thing that I would recommend that everybody do, so you're listening right now, so write these down as notes. The first thing I would do is I would start to separate out some of your lots, like bulk lots, like maybe come up with, all right, I'm going to do a full box of cards, and it's like a few hundred cards. I mean, I'm talking a bulk lot. And just figure out, okay, if they're all dollar cards, that means if it's like 300, 400, 500 cards, that's again, value-wise, that's $500. But it's not worth that to a dealer because they're not going to sell those. It's not going to happen. So maybe you can get a collector with a box of 500 cards that, again, are worth $500 because they're all dollar cards, but maybe you can sell it to another collector for $100 or $120. Take the money, get rid of the cards. You don't need this bulk. You don't need the bulk. It's just, it's pointless. Why are you holding on to bulk? Other collectors might appreciate the cards you have, and then what they can do is they can offer a bulk deal because it's now a deal. Again, if you get 500 cards for $100, that's a deal. So, okay, now at $100, now I'm going to pick, okay, what are the cards that I actually like out of that lot? And then I'm going to sell it to another collector. And maybe you sell it again for $100. Or maybe now you're like, all right, you know what? I picked out like $10, $15 worth of stuff. Okay, I bought it for $100. Now I can sell it for $90 because I took out what I found valuable. So you bought $10 worth of cards. Now you sell it for $90 and you got what you want. And so everybody that does that, if that goes around the circle, guess what? The collector at the very end is going to get the best deal because now they're going to get a full thing of 400 cards. Let's say it's gone through several iterations and everybody's picked out what they want. Now the 400 card lot to a collector is only $20 because everybody else has lowered the price because of the fact you've already cherry-picked what you want. And you're not going to sell it to make a profit. You're selling it to recoup your money. So yeah, you invested $100, you took $10 out, so now you resell it for $90. And the next person that bought it for $90 takes $5 out and sells it for $85. And then the next person takes $10 out and sells it for $75. And that's the way it goes. Folks, guys, you need to stop trying to rip everyone off and start understanding that if you want cards, collectors need to start working together. No one is saying that you should get ripped off. No one is saying that you shouldn't make any money. No one is saying that you shouldn't sell your cards. But again, you shouldn't be looking at every deal as a money-making deal. If you're a collector, you're trying to get cards. So some of these cards in people's collections are sitting there for no reason and they don't want them, but they can't sell them. And the reason you can't sell them is because you're not taking advantage of bulk deals. Now, again, that's why I put together the Facebook group. Go to Facebook, Card Hoarder Nation, and start connecting to other collectors. And please use this strategy. Please. I've sold so many things to dealers and collectors using this strategy, which is how I got rid of 8 million cards, and I am no longer hoarding around a whole bunch of stuff that I don't need and that I will never ever go through. I still have way too many cards for my like sanity. I want to get to an actual collection that makes sense, that when I'm finally done, and I'm going to try to show you guys as we go. I'm not doing it this week in the behind the scenes, but maybe as I get closer to like figuring out what my collection is, I'll start showing you like how I'm curating all of this stuff so that it starts to make sense for you. And then you could go, oh, I want to do that. That sounds cool. That's how I want to curate my thing. Now, you don't have to curate it the exact same way. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you understand how to curate a collection for you, whatever your passion is, whatever your interests are. I have a specific mindset. I like cards a specific way. I'm choosing cards because of the way I see collecting. But the way I see collecting doesn't matter. It only matters to me. It doesn't need to matter to you. The way you collect needs to matter to you. It's I appreciate when people show me their collections, because it's oh, I never thought about that. Oh, that's cool. Oh, you collect that player. Oh, wow. And there's that many variations of that player. That's amazing. Now, I would never spend money on that stuff, but that's not the point. The point is, if you spent money on it and you're showing it to me look at this, look at that. To be honest with you, when someone shows me one of their collections and they're lighting up look at this and look at that, it's money well spent. I really don't, I can't even begin to tell you that it doesn't matter how much you paid for your cards. It doesn't matter. The amount of joy and passion that you have about your collection, you spent exactly what it was worth. It's the end of story. You could have overpaid for every single card, but it does not matter, because the fact that you love your collection so much meant it was worth every penny. So hopefully that's the Where's the Market segment. Again, not a lot of data this week, but hopefully that makes sense. Now let's get to the next section. This week on Behind the Scenes, I decided that I was going to give you guys a little bit of background into what I do on YouTube, how do I figure out story ideas and all the other stuff. And so there's actually a book that I'm reading. I'm going to recommend it to you. It's called Story Worthy, and it is written by Matthew Dix. Now, I'm going to put a link to his TED Talk down below, because he is a teacher, as well as a internationally recognized storyteller. And so one of the things that's important on YouTube is to tell good stories. And so one of the things that I want to do for you guys is to actually start delving into some of the stories that I have over the last 40 years of card collecting, as well as when I was a sports card dealer when I was a teenager, from the age of 13 to 18. So that's when I dealt cards as an actual dealer almost every single weekend in the New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania area. And so I have a lot of stories to tell, but you have to tell them the right way. Otherwise, they're kind of boring, which I don't want them to be for you guys. And so I already did season one, I want to say season one of My Sports Card Journey. There are 4 episodes. I put the links down below as well if you want to go watch them. But basically, this book is all about how to tell a better story. And so that's what this week's Behind the Scene is all about. How do you tell a better story? So what I want to do is I want to tell you a story right now and see how well I do. And the key to telling a good story is you need a good starting point. And so what I want you guys to kind of relate to me on is, this story is about my frustration with PSA. Yes, we've all been there. We have all sent cards into PSA. They are the industry leader on card grading. And I'm sure if you've actually dealt with PSA, you have gone through this. Why do they act this way? Why don't they just do their job the way they should do their job? Why do they treat people so horribly? And to be quite honest with you, I don't understand. And I don't know why we keep giving them our money. In fact, we should probably just stop grading for a year, just boycott grading for an entire year, and we'll see how PSA acts. But that's for another video. So here's the story. I had a 1963 Mickey Mantle baseball card. Now, I got this when I was a teenager. My father's favorite player growing up himself, he's a baby boomer. He's no longer with us, but he was a baby boomer, and his favorite player was Mickey Mantle, like many of his generation. So we had a lot of baseball cards from Mickey Mantle. And so because he was a huge, we're talking die-hard Mickey Mantle fan, and I grew up in the New York area, anytime we could get to meet Mickey Mantle, my dad took it upon himself to be like, all right, we're going to go meet Mickey Mantle. So Mickey Mantle, while he was alive, had a restaurant in Manhattan. It was right on Park Central, Central Park, and it was called Mickey Mantle's. And I have the menus, I have like a whole bunch of stuff from Mickey Mantle's, and we went in, and again, it was an upscale burger joint, I would just say, like at the time, I mean, this was early 90s, but a burger there cost about like $10, which again, just for context, like fast food burgers were $1. Like if you went to a restaurant, like a pretty decent restaurant or a diner, a burger was about $6. So $10 for a burger, which is normal today because of inflation, back then was like, whoa, you are paying a lot of money for a hamburger. Again, I know that's normal today, but back in the early 90s, that was crazy. Or this was actually probably the late 80s because Mickey Mantle did a lot of appearances back then. So anyway, we went to Mickey Mantle's, and one of the reasons why was because WFAN radio in New York used to broadcast from Mickey Mantle's. And so we went to go see the show. It just so happens that the day that they were recording, Mickey Mantle was at the restaurant. Now, I didn't know that he was going to be there, and for whatever reason, I had some cards with me. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I brought cards with me, because I didn't bring a pen. So, like, for some reason, I had the cards with me, but I didn't have a pen. So I didn't think this through. Again, I was a teenager, and teenagers don't think things through. So I went to Mickey Mantle's with my dad. We sat down, we had a burger. It was a good burger. I mean, it's on, Central Park. It's just great. You're in Manhattan, and I'm thinking, like, this is the greatest thing in the world, and I'm really happy with the whole situation, and I'm listening, and radio and media for me was huge. Like, I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer or a sports reporter or be on ESPN. Like, so all of that sports media stuff, so going to listen or watch WFAN broadcasters broadcast from the restaurant was just a dream to me. So my dad knew that, and he obviously loved Mickey Mantle, so he's like, hey, we're going to Mickey Mantle's. So anyway, while we were there, Mickey Mantle walks in, and once Mickey Mantle walks into the restaurant, guess what? Everybody stops because it's Mickey Mantle. We're in Mickey Mantle's, and WFAN is right there, so clearly they want him to come on air and talk to the great one and be like, hey, how you doing? How's the Mick? And the whole thing. So he goes and he sits down with WFAN broadcasters and starts to do a segment with them on air. This is live. Okay, so my dad, being the outgoing extrovert that he was, and I, as a teenager, was anything but extroverted and outgoing. I was the shyest teenager you've ever met. If you talk to me as a teenager, I put my head down and I went, okay. I didn't want any spotlight. I didn't want any attention or anything. Anyway, my dad pushed me. He's like, don't you have cards with you? I'm like, He's like, you should get one signed. And at the time, I'm like, but I have his cards. Like, I don't, like, and at the time, getting the card signed was bad. Like, you were defacing the card. Like, you were putting writing on the card. You weren't supposed to get autos on cards. Like, that was a no-no. That was taboo. And so the worst card that I had was a 1963 Mickey Mantle. It was the worst one I had. I wasn't going to get a 1957 or a 56 or a 58, autograph. I would get the 63 autograph because that was the worst one that I had. So anyway, I walked up to Mickey Mantle. Now, I didn't have a pen, so I had to go to a waitress and say to her, excuse me, please, excuse me, miss, I wanna get an autograph from Mickey Mantle. Do you have a pen I could borrow? And that's how I approached the waitress, and she looked at me and she's like, "Sure, yeah, here you go, kid." And so I had a pen, and I stood next to, or like right at where they were, broadcasting, but like off to a side. So wasn't interfering, wasn't doing anything, just sort of off to the side, and like, all right, wait for Mickey Mantle to come down, and maybe I can ask him for an autograph. Like, maybe, I don't know, maybe. So anyway, Mickey Mantle does his whole thing. He gets out from underneath the broadcast booth. Basically, it was a table with a bunch of mics. So he got up, walked around, and there was a staircase that came down. So he comes down the staircase, and I'm standing right at the side of that staircase. And so he gets there, and I say, hi, Mickey Mantle. I'm a big fan. My dad brought me to the restaurant. Would you mind, maybe like autographing my card and stuff? And I mean, I was awkward. I was a teenager. I was not confident. I was like, I'm not a little kid either. So I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna say yes or no. I'm like, I'm not a little kid where they automatically go, absolutely, kid. Like, I'm a teenager. So, nobody likes teenagers. And I'm trying to be as polite as possible. No one likes teenagers. So I'm like, please, would you, autograph my card? And he says, sure thing. And he takes the card and takes the pen and he writes his name on it. Now, I don't know if you guys know this. I've looked online, I've looked on eBay, I've looked everywhere. I don't see any autographs that are in ballpoint pen. All the autographs I've seen on card are all in Sharpie. Again, I didn't have a Sharpie. I was borrowing the waitress's ballpoint pen because I'm at Mickey Mantle's. So anyway, I get that card autographed. I run back to my dad at the table. I'm like, oh my God, he signed the card. And my dad is freaking out. Like, he can't believe that his idol just signed a baseball card for his son. He's on cloud nine. Again, not no longer with us, so it's a memory at this point. But like, he can't believe that this is all happening. Like, just it's a dream come true for him. So anyway, I have this card, and because of the modern era where there's too many fakes and people, do scams and all this other stuff, I have to get the card authenticated because no one's going to ever believe this story. And now I'm telling you this story. It's documented now on YouTube forever, but no one's going to believe me. They're going to be like, yeah, he made that up. Like, that's not a real autograph. Mickey Mantle never met that guy. He's full of it. Because I see the comments on YouTube. A lot of people think I'm full of it. Okay, well, that's the story. So I sent it into PSA to get it authenticated, along with a whole bunch of other cards that I got autographed by players. One of them being a Gary Carter card, which I got autographed because of a cancer benefit that he did, and he was doing autographs. So basically, if you bought an autograph, the money proceeds went to the cancer research. Again, Gary Carter passed away from cancer. And he was probably my favorite player growing up. So I got his autograph, so I got that one done. I also had an Ernie Banks card that I got. I had a Mark McGwire on a USA Olympic card. And I also got a few Frank Thomas rookie cards signed. So I sent them all in to get authenticated all at the same time. And PSA is a regular pain in the neck. Not only do they take forever. So I think I sent them in, let's say, November. Yeah, it was probably November. And I didn't get those cards back till March. Yeah, November to March. You gotta be kidding me. Now, I know that's way better than it used to be. I totally understand. I know that's way better than it used to be. But seriously? And then not only that, but they wanted to upcharge me for the Mickey Mantle card. Now, here's where the story gets interesting. So I disagreed with them. I was like, why are you upcharging me? You're just authenticating the card. And they're like, because the card is worth $3,000. And I'm like, how is the card worth $3,000 when it's just authenticated? Like, please tell me how that's possible. And the problem that I want you guys to understand is that PSA just kind of said, well, that's what we think it's worth. And here's the problem. They legally can't do that. Not unless they're going to give an actual appraisal, which I would absolutely pay for an appraisal from PSA because they are the experts. Like, I'm not arguing. Like, if they're saying, look, we're appraising this at $3,000, here's a letter of appraisal, it's worth $3,000. Okay, yeah, or how much do you want for that? Yeah, because now I have proof that the card is worth $3,000. It's like a legit legal thing that they've appraised my card. And if PSA were to do that, well, I'm interested. See, now I think PSA is doing a great job, but telling me they're going to upcharge me because they think it's worth $3,000, I'm not happy with at all. And so because I luckily, and I want to also make this very clear, so I used a group submitter to actually help me do this. And so I know there's been a lot of controversy about group submissions and all this other stuff, but I will say this, the group submitter that I used was so helpful. So, like, I am so glad that I used a group submitter because they actually fought on my behalf with PSA because they agreed with me. Where's the evidence that this card is worth $3,000? At the end of the day, I paid for the card. I didn't have any issues. I paid the upcharge, but I did tell the group submitter, look, I know you do a lot of business with PSA, but here's the problem. PSA can't just say they think the card is worth something without some legal backing. Now, PSA are the experts. So if they do say, we believe this card is worth X, Y, and Z with an official legal appraisal, then that's the way it goes. And to be honest, that would be great for the hobby because it would be nice to have an expert actually tell you what cards are worth. Because I can tell you that I thought the card was worth closer to $1,000. That's based on what sales I could find. And that's exactly what the group submitter said, is they thought it was worth around $1,000 as well. And $1,000 meant that PSA could only charge X. They're saying, no, because it's so rare, this card is so rare as an autograph that it's worth more than $1,000. And that's what they were trying to say, is that because of the card it is, because it's a 1963 Mickey Mantle autographed, not only that, but it's autographed in ballpoint pen. So clearly you had to have met him in a non-controlled environment. So there wasn't he wasn't sitting at a table and they handed him a bunch of cards and he signed them with the same Sharpie. No, you got a legit auto from him in a real experience. They said all of that adds to $3,000 worth of value. That's unbelievable to me. But I figured you guys should know that story. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, I'll put it down below. A whole bunch of people, I was at the Arizona State Card Show back in March. A whole bunch of people actually took pictures and videos of that card because I got it at the show, or got it back at the show because that's where the group submitter was set up. So a whole bunch of IG people took video of that card and put it out and tagged me. So if you want to see video of all that, go to IG. You can see the video. You could see the card. And tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of the story. Did I do a good job? Hopefully, I don't think Matthew Dix is going to be watching sports card videos, but if he does, hey, tell me, did I do well or not in my storytelling? Anyway, that's behind the scenes, and let's get to your viewer comments. This week we have a ton of comments to catch up on, so I don't want to take any time, so let's get down to the first one, and it comes from Wesley Hodge 9457, and it says, I think Ty is a stand-up guy personally and wouldn't try to get over on someone. If he sold them for thousands of dollars, maybe, but looking at the screenshot, that doesn't appear to be the case, and why would you scam someone and hurt your reputation over $66? Now, obviously you can see this is the video that I did, which was Sports Card Radio versus Chasing Cardboard controversy. This is going back a few months, and I did an interview with Jimmy, who actually bought the card originally, then submitted it for a third party with BGS, and they said that they didn't think it was likely to authenticate and be real as an autograph. And then he reached back out to Chasing Cardboard and basically said, the experts don't think it's real. what's the story? Is it real or not? Like, obviously there's a question here. And unfortunately, again, not Ty, but his team basically bullied the customer. Again, this is an eBay customer who won an auction, then submitted it for third-party verification. That's what eBay wants. They want third-party authentication. And then Chasing Cardboard, again, not Ty, but Chasing Cardboard said, "You're an idiot," or "You're insulting. Why'd you buy the card if you didn't think it was real?" I mean, literally the worst customer service you could ever have. And that's the problem. So that's the controversy. I'm not saying anything against Ty, but his team has a lot of problems when it comes to customer service. So anyway, if you want to go check out that video, you can. Let's get to the next comment. So the next comment comes from Johnny Reno 71, and it says, "Let's go Rangers." For all of you that watched the game last night, yes, the Rangers won. They are now in the Eastern Conference Finals. If you didn't see the playoff preview, I actually have most of the teams predicted. I only missed one team in the first round, so we'll see how many teams I get in the second round. I'm close to getting all the teams here in the second round as well, so let's see how it goes. But if you want to check out that preview, you can. Thanks, Johnny, for that comment. Now, let's get to comment number 3. And this one comes from Philly Joe. So thanks, Philly Joe. Here we go. This is what he says. "Thank you for the awesome episode. Really enjoyed listening, watching. 100% correct in your analysis. Really like the ending. If you are there to sell, sell." And this was actually, so this is the eBay episode that I did a couple weeks ago. And what Philly Joe is actually referring to is the fact that I see all of you guys with eBay listings and you've priced the cards not to sell. Like, I know you're like, "Well, I'm trying to sell the cards." No, you're not. You're not trying to sell any cards. You price them well above market, so you don't want to sell the cards. Again, if you want to sell the cards, you have to price them to sell. Don't give me the fantasy of, "Well, if they sold for that price, I'm willing to sell them." Well, why'd you list them? Like, literally, why did you go through the trouble of listing the card? Just take the card off. Like, if you're not interested in selling it, don't list it. It's actually better for eBay and better for collectors if you don't list all your cards. Like, it'd be better if there were less cards on eBay. You putting up cards for 100%, 200%, 300% markup makes eBay just a real cesspool. It's just a dumpster fire. So take off your cards, okay? That's just my take on it as a collector. Seriously, if you're not willing to sell your cards, take them off eBay. All right, let's go to, this is the 4th comment. So this one comes from BB Sports 34, and this is also on the same one, the eBay episode. So here we go. "Wow, unexpected transparency from a content creator, quite refreshing." Well, hey, that's what I'm here for. "Now, if only eBay could do something about removing listings that go unpaid within 48 hours. In my opinion, that's intentional manipulation on eBay's part." Ooh, yeah, that's a really good point, BB. That's a really good point. I didn't think about that, but that is, I mean, again, I don't think eBay really gives 2 cents about, like, you know what I mean, 2 dumps about sports cards. I think that they kind of, it's like an afterthought, and they're trying now to kind of figure out, okay, what should we do with sports cards? Because they have a whole bunch of new toggle switches that are only sports card related. Again, they don't know anything about sports cards. Like, eBay is a complete dum-dum when it comes to sports cards. So it's not a very good site to buy or sell cards. It's just not. It's not built for sports cards. eBay is it's a third-party seller. It's a flea market online. Now, you would think in some, grand sense, like, okay, yeah, a virtual flea market would be perfect for sports cards, right? Well, not so much. Because unfortunately, the listing practices become the issue. And people don't list cards the way they should list them. There's a lot of inconsistency. One, people don't know how to spell people's names. I mean, it's crazy how people can't spell player names. And then 2, they list cards so fraudulently. I mean, if you're listing a reprint, you should not be putting the year of the actual old photo. Like, if it's a 1962 reprint from 1991, that's a 1991 card. And only a manipulator is trying to say that it's a 1962 reprint. Only you are trying to manipulate somebody. So, no, that's fraud. Clear out fraud. And it could be illegal if somebody wanted to do a class action lawsuit against eBay, because eBay is not supposed to have fraudulent listings. And listing a card as a 1962 reprint is fraudulent. End of story. So anyway, thank you, BB, on that. And let's get to comment number 5. And here we go. This one comes from Jim H3595. Again, once more on the eBay episode. So he says eBay is and will remain the best place to buy and sell cards. I have one word for you, Jim: Friendster. I have another word for you, Netscape. I have another word for you, AOL. You clearly know nothing about technology. You know nothing about the 21st century. Jim, none of these companies are guaranteed to be around. They can all crash like that. Just like Nokia used to be the #1 cell phone in the world, and then Apple came along and no one has a Nokia. BlackBerry was the hottest phone, and I just watched that new film. I think it was on either Hulu or Netflix. I can't get them straight in my head anymore. But I just watched that new film, the Canadian film about the BlackBerry story. I thought it was a great film, but where's BlackBerry now? So anybody that thinks that eBay can't be knocked off its perch knows nothing about business. eBay has so many flaws that eBay is primed to be taken down. Now, I would not say that about Amazon at the moment, because Amazon is just doing everything really well, but they're starting to come into a problem. And so Amazon also has competition, and they are vulnerable to being taken out. And that's what you guys need to understand. eBay is not a guarantee. So if you're relying on eBay as your only method to sell, I would caution you, you need to diversify your avenues of selling cards. Now, for buyers, it really doesn't matter. If it's eBay or if it's somewhere else, who cares? A buyer doesn't care where they go, but a seller does. So if you're reliant on eBay, be careful, because eBay has a lot of problems. All right, those are all the comments for this week. I want to thank everybody for joining me. We are here every single Friday, so hit the subscribe button. I'll see you next Friday. This is Doc saying, have a great week.
There's only one show. There's only one show I wanna watch. EDI Sports Show every Friday. From interviews and card news to the sports behind the scenes, only one show covers the deeds. EDI Sports Show. There's only one show.